Taylor, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very excited.
Oh, so am I. How does it feel to be on another person's podcast? Because
Feels
you have your
different. So I
own.
feel like I can relax a little bit. I'm not looking at any notes. I don't have to do any prep work. It's good.
So good. So, for those listening, as I mentioned, Tayla Broad has her own podcast called Baby Talk. So, check it out. She's also the mum of to a daughter, Samara, who's 2 years old. You were saying, little papa, so cute. She's an Australian media personality, TV presenter, and more recently, author. Well done, girl. That
Thank
deserves
you.
like a whoop whoop. So you could check out her first book, Taylor Made Meals, which was released when? Was it?
It was released, I think, nearly 2 months ago now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone very fast.
And so tell me, why the book?
The book for me was a way of showing people a different side of me. A lot of my cultural upbringing was using food as a love language and sharing that as a way of connecting with people. And I think you can be in spaces like this and do podcasts and interviews, and at the end of the day, you find out the most about people when you're sitting down and sharing a meal together. So the book is a bit of a cookbook meets memoir where every recipe has a story that relates to my life. So in one respect, you're getting a whole lot of recipes, but in the other side of it, you're getting to know me outside of maybe the facade that is the smoke and mirrors of social media. It was just kind of my way of being able to create something as well that is really friendly for neurodivergence, because I have ADHD. Sorry, I just hit the table. Have ADHD myself, and dyslexia. And a lot of the time cookbooks aren't catered to that, and it can be really overwhelming. So when creating this cookbook, I wanted it to really be inclusive and easy to read, and there's no picture perfect end shot. It's all hand drawn illustrations so that at the end of it, there's no comparison. So it's just about, I don't know, finding a niche in the market for things that I struggle with and then being able to share my story at the same time.
Yeah, I love that. What is your background?
I'm half Lebanese, half Australian.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm half Greek, half
Oh,
Nigerian.
there you go.
So
Good
us
mix of food
Harveys.
there.
Yeah, right. Talking about food, I'd love languages. And so you've got a 2-year-old and you release a book.
Yes.
How did you manage that?
Well, I actually started the book 2 months before I fell pregnant. And then I was like, all this energy, all this time to put into the book. And then I got really sick being pregnant. And I thought, oh my God, I'm not doing this. And then I came out of that stage and I really, again, all this energy, all this creativity that I wanted to put into the book. And I pretty much wrote it all. And then once I had Samara, I changed so much as a person. And a lot of the things that I was sharing, I don't think really reflected who I was then. So then I went back and changed it all.
Really?
Yes. So
Yeah.
it was about a 2-year-long process all up. But I'm glad I did it the way that I did and not rushed it, and really had time to reflect on some of the stories and looked at different situations in my life in a different light since having her. So it was a long process, but we got there.
That's awesome. And it feels authentic to you today, which is
Exactly.
the whole point.
Yeah.
What, if you're thinking about sort of some of the themes that changed for you after having Samara,
Yeah.
what comes to mind? What changed? What was your perspective like after having her versus pre?
I share a lot about my body dysmorphia and eating disorder at a young age. And I think for me, when I was writing it all originally, I hadn't truly healed that part of my journey. And then once I had my daughter and had this new appreciation for my body and what it could create and what it had been through, I found that I was able to look back on that journey with a healed inner self and was able to then reflect on that and learn from those experiences, but now knowing that I have overcome that. Whereas when I first started, I don't think I was quite there. So different wording changed, my emotions changed towards it. And yeah, you definitely can read the appreciation I have for my body now than maybe what the original copy was.
Yeah, that's amazing and so honest from your perspective as well, to really kind of notice that progression, right? From like, oh, I thought I was okay. Like I've recovered, I say in talking months, to no, now I've really healed.
Yeah.
How having a daughter, and we know that, things like eating disorders and things like that, I believe, oh God, now don't quote me those listening, because you're going to start Googling this and be like, nah, Leonie's got no idea what she's talking about. But from my experience,
Yes.
shows up a lot with females
Of course.
versus the males, right? So are there things that you will do as a parent to a daughter that perhaps you think will be more supportive to sort of, I hate to use the word, we can never control or prevent or whatever,
No.
but, to nurture,
Yeah.
her relationship with food?
Yeah, I every single night, but when she gets out of the bath or when we're putting on her pajamas, I get her to stand in front of the mirror. We have a little chorus we say in the mirror, so she'll repeat it back to me and herself in the mirror, and she goes, "I am loved, I'm wanted, I'm enough, I love my body, and I'm beautiful." And I think implementing things like that from such a young age is just teaching them to look in the mirror and talk nicely to yourself. Something that I just think is generational. We didn't know these things. My parents didn't know these things. And I think now we have so many resources available to learn different techniques and different ways of raising kids to feel more confidence within themselves. I know personally, I will never, well, purposely talk bad about my body in front of her. And sometimes we have little jokes where she had a book and it was about bums, and in the book was like fat bum, skinny bum, saggy bum. And as soon as I started reading, I was like, this is not a book for us. And that book went away. And I just kind of explained to her that everybody has different body shapes and doesn't mean one's a fat bum or a skinny bum. It means that everybody has a bum. And just rewording things and really just like not letting things just skim over the surface and going back and being like, no, we're going to address that because that probably wasn't a good learning tool, that book.
Yeah.
So let's go back and explain why it wasn't. And I just don't think there's any age that is too young to start those things, especially with body confidence, as well as we're really big on learning boundaries around your body too. From I think 1.5, I was reading her books, No Means No and My Body, and being honest about that. If you ask my daughter Samara, she's 2 years old, and you said, what do you have that daddy doesn't? She'll say, I have a fanny. And that's something I'm not scared of her saying. That might be confronting for other people. But I said, what does daddy have? He has a willy. And it's using those words that I think a lot of the time you skim over because it makes people feel uncomfortable, but they're the words they need to know. And I just think open conversations and treating her as if she is a bit of a little adult will work in the long run.
Yeah.
But don't quote me on it. It might not work.
No.
Let's see what happens.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Really kind
They're
of.
smarter than we give them credit
That's
for.
exactly right. Do you worry about, look, social media will look so different when our kids are, growing up, but do you worry about, social media, the opportunity to compare, particularly as a female? I mean, you're a mum to a daughter. How do you feel? I mean, it's so hard to think, how would we protect them from that? I mean, obviously you now can't have social media until you're over 16, which I think is fantastic. That was implemented by the government. But are there things at home, because your life is very public, that you will try to continue to maintain privacy around?
We obviously don't show Samara's face. So I have wanted to do that, and my husband was the same. Just to respect her privacy and boundaries. And a little way I sort of describe it to friends is if my home videos that my mum and dad took of me when I was learning to potty train or doing something that I thought was really cute at the age of 4 was then shared for the world, and when I went on reality television was then used against me, it would be devastating. And I'm sure my mum would feel so guilty, but it was so innocent at the time. So everything we do for her is not because we're embarrassed to show her. I would love to show her to the world, but it's because you don't know where society's going with technology. And therefore, I don't want to leave a footprint that maybe she doesn't want in 10, 15 years' time. So we definitely implement that with the keeping her private. And when she wants to, I don't know, show herself, well, then we're not going to deprive her of that either. But there'll be boundaries around that. And I mean, she's so young at the moment and things could change. But we've always said that there'll be, as soon as dinner comes out, that's technology away. If she was to have a phone or social media, whatever it is, that's what we hope to implement. I mean, the screaming matches and the hidden laptop and probably an iPad under the bed will somehow get to come out after dinner time. But that's what we hope. So we'll see.
How do you then, I mean, if someone takes a photo of you in the media, I've always wondered this, like, how do you then are you always just mindful, like if you're somewhere super public or whatever, to kind of cut, like, how do you navigate that?
It's really interesting. So in America, and again, don't quote me on this, in America, they have laws where if you don't show your child space, they can't, as paparazzi, show the child, which is why a lot of the time you don't see them in paparazzi photos. I think that's the law. Australia is one of the only countries where that isn't a rule. or a law. So I could be walking down the street with Samara and someone could take a photo and put it on the Herald Sun tomorrow. And there's no rules or regulation around that from what I believe. So it's a bit of a weird one. I find it hard, especially with my husband's career being in the AFL, and a lot of the time it's live streamed. So when there's milestones, he had his 150th last year, I don't want to deprive my child of experience. And we've always said keeping her private isn't to stop her having experiences in life, it's to just keep her protected. So we always say if an experience comes up, we're not going to deprive her of that. So I let her run out in the field with him. And if her face was shown, so be it. But at the end of the day, you don't know my child's personality from a 30-second clip on a field versus us showing you what she had for dinner, where she did her poo that night. Like it's just showing up differently online and letting go of the things out of our control and then controlling the things we can control.
Yes, yeah, I think that's a really good way to look at it. How has your relationship with Nathan changed, grown, etc. after having children? Has there been anything that you're like, wow, like we've really had to shift gears?
Yeah. Nathan and I, a lot of people don't really know this. So we knew each other when we both lived in Perth. So there was a friendship there. We were best friends before we started dating. And I think the biggest shift was because we were best friends, we would go do everything together. Like we loved going out together. We loved going to dinners together. And then when we had our daughter, we obviously don't have that family support here because both of our families live in Perth. And it was a real adjustment in the sense of, well, he would go to dinner one night and I would stay home and watch Samara. Yeah. And then I'd go out one night and then he'd stay at home. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, we're not friends anymore outside of the house. Like we don't go on dates and we don't do any of these fun things. And that was really hard for us to adjust to because we had this solid friendship before. And it's not that we weren't friends. We just weren't getting to do anything fun as friends. So I think once we acknowledged that and worked out like, okay, you know what, let's have a nanny or a babysitter on this night and really make that effort to pay the money but have the experience that then makes our relationship stronger, we were able to turn a corner in that sort of side of things. So that probably was the biggest thing for us to realize in terms of how our relationship changed. But once we did realize it, we were like, okay, we can fix this though.
How do you, I mean, so many people listening going, I don't have a village either, let's say. Where did you start with babysitters? Is it through friends, through your network?
Yeah, I really didn't feel comfortable leaving Samara with a stranger as such. For someone who like boasts about being type C parent, I'm very type A.
What's type C? I don't
Type C. So I think I'm a type C in the sense of I will make sure Samara's food is like all organic, all really good. I've cooked it, but then she can eat a hot chip off the floor. So I'm like, I'm really strong on some things and really flippant on others. I don't know if I'm type A or type B, so we call it type C. I'm like, sure, you want to eat the bug from the playground? Go for it. But wash your hands before you eat.
I love it. So for that reason, you're a bit more.
So I think it was, the type A maybe came out of me a bit more when it was kind of who would we trust Samara with. But we were really lucky to have already built a village in our friendships. And we say a lot of the time, our family here are our friends. And we have so many people that showed up for us just in ways that wasn't necessarily looking after Samara, but was making sure they were looking after us. Two of our best friends, Jack and Geordie, they lived only a couple of blocks away from us. And instead of making it feel like, oh, we have to go out for dinner, get a babysitter, whatever it was, once a week they would make the effort to come to our house for dinner, and it felt like we were going out because it was something we looked forward to every week, and we got to have an adult conversation outside of the 2-year-old or however old she was, and it really made a big difference in those early years. So I think building a village is a really good one in friendships, really using, I guess, for us, it wasn't about daycare, but it was about finding a really good nanny. And I know we're very privileged to be able to afford that. But finding things that make you feel comfortable and really not settling until you feel comfortable if you have that privilege.
Yes, no, I hear you. I'm curious, even a lot of, I speak to so many parents, as you do with your podcast
Mm.
too, but a lot of the time, particularly as mums, we get really touched out. And often our partner's love language is touch, call it. And we're like, mate, don't touch me.
Yeah.
Did that happen for you? And
Yeah.
how did you turn things around?
Yeah. I think also adding to that, having combined ADHD, overstimulation and being touched out is just part of our day to day without having a child. So then add a child to the mix, and oh my God, sometimes my husband would look at me, I'm like, I can see you want to touch me. Fuck off. Like I would just be like, ah. And I've got the exhaust fan going in the kitchen. I've got the child grabbing my leg, and he's like, touches my back, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking stab you. Like,
Got vom on my
yes,
shoulder.
oh my God. But then we just started learning tools where it was like, okay, he can read my cues and can see that maybe I'm really touched out. Or I would even just walk over to him with Samara and be like, I cannot have the child on me anymore. And just go have 10 minutes in a room by myself and listen to a podcast or do some meditation or have a shower even. That was really helpful. So yeah, I still get touched out even
Right,
now. She's a very
yeah.
clingy, but
She?
she's my koala baby, I call her. Like she's always got to be on someone. Her latest thing is holding the hair. So sometimes I'm like this and I'm just like, get off me.
So cute. You touched on the village, and as we were saying,
Mhm.
it's a big thing. And I
Yeah.
know that you actually sort of wrote in an Insta post, just to keep it real, 10 out of 10 would not recommend having a baby and trying to work without family to help. I mean, preaching to, I mean, not,
Yeah.
I shouldn't say preaching to the choir, because I'm quite fortunate to have a bit of help, family support. However, preaching to the choir of so many people that I speak
Mhm.
to, right? Tell me about where you were at in that moment, and are there plans for you to eventually go back to Perth and be close to family?
In that moment, it was definitely, I'm pretty sure around her being maybe between 10 months and 1 years old.
Yeah.
And I always say, because people always ask, oh, did you have any postnatal depression or anything like this? And I don't know if you can call it at 10 months still postnatal depression. I'm not sure, but I definitely was depressed. And I think it comes back to the whole fact that how society is today is women are pushed and told you have to go back to work, you have to bounce back culture and do it all, and you can do it all, but then there's no resources for us to do it all. So it's like, how the fuck do you do it all?
Right.
And it's exhausting. And then add into the mix that my family weren't here and Nathan's family weren't here. And I found it really hard to want it all, but not necessarily know how to get it. And I think it was this time in her life and my life where she needed so much more attention from me. She was learning to walk and the teeth were there, and it was overwhelming and a lot. And a lot of the time I just wanted my mum. Or we always say we sit on the couch after a really hard day and we're like, imagine what it would be like if we could just call one of our parents, be like, can you cook us dinner tonight? Like I have not, unless we fly to Perth, no one cooks me dinner. Like we do that every single day. And that's what we signed up for. Don't get me wrong, I'm grateful and I chose that and I would not change it for the world. But fuck, it'd be nice every once in a while to have someone cook me dinner. Or even just be like, hey, mum, I just want to go for a walk without her. Like everything is with her. So that's why I probably was a bit more morbid in what I was saying. But definitely, I think there's chapters in my motherhood journey where it was harder than maybe now or maybe 2 months ago. But that's like anything in life, isn't it? Like you just
Totally.
go
Ride the
through
wave.
seasons. Yeah,
Totally. And so do you think at some point you'll probably go back to Perth?
we're building in Perth. It was meant to start in June. It's not starting till Feb.
Okay.
But that's
Yeah.
just building, isn't it? So I've been told.
Yes, well, I do work in construction on the site, so
Okay.
I can absolutely
Yeah.
relate.
You can help
Delays
me
are
there.
very
Delays are apparently very
Part of
common. So they
part of
keep
the
telling me to
journey.
walk me off the edge. But I think it'll just depend when Nathan ends up. He's got 1 year on his contract. I think it'll be, his decision at the end of the day. It's his career. So whatever he chooses to do, but we will go back to Perth eventually. It's a place that I really want to raise my daughter in. We love it there. We think that living by the beach is such a nice
Such a nice
lifestyle, and
lifestyle.
going home just recently really implemented what we're missing out on in terms of family support. So I think eventually, but we're not in a rush right now. We're
Yeah.
just riding the wave as it
Yeah.
is.
Well, and also nice to be able to, once you do move there, to be
Yeah,
able to come back to this coast and
exactly.
go and know, so,
Yes.
have a massive village here too.
Yeah.
And yeah, oh, I love that. I'd love to know, I ask every guest this
Mhm.
final question. How has parenthood changed you as a person?
Ooh, that's a good one. Well, first of all, it changed my name without even realizing
In what way?
why I'm mum now.
Oh, I've never had anyone say
Yeah.
that. There we go.
And I think that
Yes.
was a really big adjustment that maybe took me a long time to get used to, in the sense of I'm Taylor, but I'm predominantly mum.
Right.
And you don't really hear your name anymore. You just hear mum. And that was something that I had to come to terms with, but not because it was a sad thing. It was just like, oh my God, I am a mum. Like, there's no going back
Right.
now.
New identity,
This is
baby.
forever. New identity, new body, new outlook on life, new responsibilities. But everything I do when it comes to being a mum feels like, oh, this is home. Like, this is what I was meant to do. Even when she says my name, mum, I'm like, that's my name. Like, I definitely feel at home with that. I've learnt patience. Well, I'm still trying, but I'm getting there. I'm definitely learning to be more patient. And I just think I'm someone that is a lot more forgiving on myself than maybe I was before I had her. But that's because I want her to be forgiving of herself and not be so self-critical like I was growing up. And I think everything I do now for my own work and who I am as a person and how I show up is because I want her to look at me as a role model to do those things herself.
Yeah, I love that. They mirror back
Yeah.
really a lot of it to us.
Makes
don't
you
they?
your best version of yourself, I hope.
Yeah. Sometimes the worst as well.
Yeah,
at
so
times,
definitely.
But that's like
Yep. We've all
No,
been there.
yeah. What is next for you? What can we expect? I mean, you've had a
What's
lot going
next?
on.
I
Let's be real.
know,
So
I
if you
know.
say nothing, there's no bloody judgment here.
Just getting this house done. Like, that is
Yes.
priority.
Yeah.
Getting through another year of Nath at Richmond. What else? She's toilet trained now.
Oh, what a
This is our
winner.
thing at the moment. So we're at the part
Awesome.
today,
Yes.
and there was no toilets around. I was like, we're going to learn a bush wee. She's like, oh, what? So just focusing on her, I think, whatever comes my way will come my way as it's meant to. But I'm someone that just never sets a 5-year plan because the universe will give you what it wants anyway.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, so good. Taylor, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you for having me.